Okay, so this video is all about circles, and a circle, of course, is a shape that is equidistant from the center, and it gets named from the center. So, like if this was P, then this would be circle P. And from the center to the edge of the circle is called the radius. And from one side of the circle, passing through the center to the other side of the circle is called the diameter. If it goes from one side of the circle to the other without passing through the diameter, it's called a chord. And it has an H in it, but the H is silent, so it's called a chord. And there's some other ones we're going to go over, but those are the big ones. And a circle can have more than one radius and more than one diameter, but it can only have one center. And it can have more than one chord, but it can only have one circumference, and circumference is the distance all the way around the outside of the circle. So we're going to talk about each of these more in depth, but that's a overview for you. So let's start with the first example here, and we're going to do this whole page, but it's really simple. So let's just do the first one. This is circle R because it has a center R. And the radius, it actually has several radiuses. You could say it had a radius RQ, or you could also call it QR. It also has a radius RS, or you could also call it SR. And it also has a radius RP, or you could also call it PR. And all of those are fine. So you really could have called it 6 different names. And then the diameter is from one side to the other. And so that one would be PQ, or you could also call it QP. And all of these are line segments, so we're going to put our line segment above it, and make sure you don't forget that. Those are all line segments. So the radius is line segment RQ, line segment RS, or line segment RP. And the diameter is line segment PQ. And the circle is circle R. So go ahead and do the next one. And I think I'm just going to make it shorter, and I'm just going to name one of the radius and one of the diameter. And you might have a different one. And that's okay. So we're going to do circle C, line segment CD for the radius, and line segment AB for the diameter. And you could have said something else. The radius, you could have said BC or CB or AC or CA or DC. And the circle here is L, and you could have said the radius was LK or LJ or KL or JL. And then the diameter is KJ or JK, which is probably what you chose because JK is something that kids say. Alright, I want you to go ahead and do 4, 5, and 6, and then play the video and see if you got them right. Okay, looking at number 4, it's circle X. I named the radius XW. You could have said XY or XZ or any of those written backwards. And then I said the diameter was YZ. And in number 5, I said circle G, and the radius is HG, and the diameter is IJ. Number 6, I said the circle was N, the radius was NP, and the diameter was MO. If you got something different, but you're not sure whether yours was right, please feel free to raise your hand, and I'll look at it and let you know whether yours was right or not. Alright, try 7, 8, and 9, and then play the video and see whether you got them right or wrong. Okay, so number 7, we have circle C, radius line segment AC, and diameter line segment AB. Number 8, we have circle G, radius GH, and diameter line segment EH. Number 9, we have circle Z, radius XZ, and diameter XY, and all those are line segments. So hopefully this is making sense. So the radius is always halfway across, and the diameter is all the way across. Always, always, always. Make sure you have that memorized. In fact, let's go ahead and write that down at the bottom of the page. So the radius is halfway, and the diameter is all the way. Okay, that's a really big concept in circles, so make sure you really know that. You can't get those messed up, because all the formulas will expect you to know that. Okay, so looking at this circle, what did they tell us? Did they tell us the radius, or did they tell us the diameter? And so we look at the picture, and they told us halfway across the circle. So they told us the radius. And if it were all the way across the circle, let's say that this got extended all the way across the circle, then there would be 2 of them, right? So there would be 3 and then another 3. So that would be 6. So if the radius was 3, the diameter would be 6, because 3 plus 3 is 6. So the radius is half of the diameter. So we're going to write that down. So the radius is 1/2 the diameter. And let's look at the next one. In number 2, what did they tell us? Did they tell us the radius, or did they tell us the diameter? And look at what they told us. They told us all the way across. So they told us the diameter. So let's write that in. So they told us the diameter. And that's all the way across. So if we only wanted to go halfway, how far would that be? And so we have to think, what's halfway to 92? Well, half of 92 would be, let's divide it out. 46. So 46 meters. And so what we know is that the diameter is 2 of the radius. Right? And let's look at number 3. So try number 3 by yourself. Decide what they told you. Did they tell you the radius, or did they tell you the diameter? Fill it in, and then try to fill in the other. So they told us the radius, so that's 23. And so we would have to extend it and go 23 more, which would be 46. So hopefully you got that right. So try 4, 5, and 6 and see how they go. Okay, so in number 4, they tell us all the way across, which is the diameter. So the diameter is 36 inches. And so when they ask for the radius, they're asking for halfway across, which would be half of 36, which is 18. And feel free to use a calculator on this. There's nothing wrong with using a calculator to find half the distance or twice the distance. You're really either dividing by 2 or multiplying by 2 in every one of these questions. Number 5, the question is, did they give us the radius, or did they give us the diameter? They gave us halfway across the circle, which is the radius. And so the diameter would be all the way across the circle, which would be 19 plus 19, which is 38. And in number 6, they gave us all the way across the circle, which is the diameter, and that is 12, and which means that the radius is halfway, which is 6. So if you're not getting these right, you need to come up with some way to memorize which is which. The radius is halfway, and the diameter is all the way. And the way I memorized it when I was younger was I always held my arms out to my side like a T, and I said, I am what I am. And I said diameter, I am, diameter has I am in it. So all the way across the circle would be your arms stretched out all the way, like I am what I am. And then the radius is half of that. All right, number 7, they gave us the radius, so that was 60, which would mean that the diameter is 120. In number 8, they gave us the diameter of 108, which means that the radius is 54. In number 9, they gave us the diameter of 6, which means that the radius is 3, halfway across. If you have not done 10 through 12 yet, make sure you do them before you watch this video, because you need to be able to immediately pick up on whether they're giving you the radius or whether they're giving you the diameter, because you will need that information. You don't want to mess that up, because if you use the wrong numbers, when you're you'll use diameter for circumference and you'll use radius for area. So you need to know which is which so that you don't use the wrong number. It's very important. So this may seem very simple and almost unnecessary, but it is very necessary, so make sure you know the difference between the two. Alright, number 10, they give you the diameter, so 60, and half of that would be 30. And in number 11, they give you the diameter, they give you the radius, and the diameter would be 70. And in number 12, they give you the diameter, and the radius is 5. So if you have any questions, please ask. I'm always here for questions. And if you want to say something or you have a comment, feel free to raise your hand.